My dear students, welcome to this series on mathematics. Today we are going to look at the chapter called Remainder Theorem and Factor Theorem that you're going to study for the additional maths, whether you're studying at grade 10 or 11. Now, what is remainder theorem? If I ask you, what is the remainder when fx is divided by an expression? For example, I'm going to take fx to be 3x cubed minus 14x x squared plus 32, and the expression to be x minus 2. Let's understand what is remainder theorem. One way to do this would be to divide 3x cubed minus 14x squared plus 32. I'm going to divide by x minus 2. Let's see how do we perform this long division. 3x cubed divided by x. So if you write it in different colors so that you remember, 3x cubed divided by x. Gives me 3x squared that I'm going to now write here. So 3x squared. And then the 3x squared, I'm going to multiply it by the divisor. Let's write the divisor. Right? X minus 2. This gives me 3x squared times x, 3x cubed minus 6x squared. I'm going to place it here, 3x cubed minus 6x squared, and I always subtract. So this gives me 3x cubed minus 3x cubed would cancel, minus 14x squared minus plus 6x squared. So this will give me minus 8x squared 32 minus 0, so it is 32. So now I'm going to repeat the procedure once again. Let's write this in blue, minus 8x squared. So what I'm going to do, minus 8x squared, I'm going to divide by the divisor here, x, first term in the divisor. This gives me minus 8x. As you guessed it right, I'm going to copy it in the quotient, minus 8x. What I'm going to do with the minus 8x, multiply by the divisor once again. This gives me minus 8x squared plus 16x minus 8x squared plus 16x. And as usual, here I will subtract. Minus 8x squared minus 8x squared. So minus 8x squared plus 8x squared is going to cancel. I don't have any x up, so it is 0x minus plus minus 16x. 32 minus, I don't have any constant here, so it's plus 32. Right? We are going to repeat it again. So, if I write the minus 16 here in blue, minus 16x divided by x gives me minus 16. What I'm going to do with that, write it in the quotient, minus 16. And then minus 16 multiply by x minus 2 gives me minus 16x plus 32. So minus 16x plus 32, I'm going to subtract minus 16x minus 16x, 0. 32 minus 32, 0. So what is the remainder? The remainder is 0. So that's the remainder. That's the answer. Remainder. So here we did long division, and I explained to you how do we carry out the long division. Long division is not too popular among students, right? But here I explain using different colors how do we proceed step by step to carry out the long division. Now, in this case, was the long division compulsory? No. Let's see why. In general, I will have fx, I will have the divisor gx, I will have the quotient, and then the remainder. Let me make a parallel first using simple numbers. If I have to divide 20 by 3, if I have to divide 20 by 3, what will we obtain? Right? 6 times 3 is 18. So 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract these two. So what is 20? It is 3 times 6 plus the remainder 2. So here, similarly, I can say fx, instead of 20 I have fx, is equal to the divisor times the quotient, plus the remainder. Plus the remainder. Right? I want you to make the parallel with what we have here. Here, 20 is 3 times 6 plus 2. Here, fx is gx times q plus the remainder. Now, when gx is 0, that is the divisor is 0, what happens? Fx will be equal to fx will be equal to 0 plus r. That is, fx will be equal to the remainder. This is what the remainder theorem is. Right? This is what the remainder theorem is. So here, I could have avoided the long division. How? By using the remainder theorem. What does the remainder theorem telling us? I had to divide 3x cubed minus 14x squared plus 32 by x minus 2. Right? So, how do I find the remainder? Step 1. Equate the divisor to 0. This gives me x equal to 2. Step 2. What is the remainder here? Is equal to fx. That is 3x cubed minus 14x squared plus 32. We've now the x replaced by 2. 2. So, if you calculate that, this gives us 24, 56 plus 32. So, this gives us 0. So, rather than doing the long division, if we use remainder theorem, I just have to equate the divisor to 0. So x minus 2 equal to 0 gives me x equal to 2. Replace in the dividend, that is the function fx here, I will obtain the remainder. So if we take another example, find the remainder when 3x squared minus 5x plus 1 is divided by x plus 2. So remember, what was the first step? Was to equate the divisor to 0 and obtain value of x. Right? What is step 2? We can start by saying let fx equal to 3x squared minus 5x plus 1. Then remainder is equal to fx with x replaced by minus 2. So this gives me 3 times 4 plus 10 plus 1, so 23. So the remainder is 23. Of course, you can still cross-check that using your long division to know whether we get 23. So how are we going to do that? 3x squared minus 5x plus 1. You divide by x plus 2. I take 3x squared. I divide by first term in divisor. This gives me 3x. I'm going to copy the 3x in quotient. And then the 3x, I'm going to multiply the divisor, right? So that we obtain 3x squared plus 6x. 3x squared plus 6x. 3x squared plus 6x. If here we always subtract 3x squared minus 3x squared, 0, minus 5x minus plus, which is minus 6x, minus 11x. 1 minus nothing here, so it remains plus 1. We will repeat minus 11x divided by x gives me minus 11. So I write minus 11 here. And then with the minus 11, as you know, we are going to multiply x plus 2, which gives me minus 11x minus 22. Minus 11x minus 22. Here we always subtract. Minus 11x minus minus, so it is plus 11x, which is 0. 1 minus minus 22 is 23. So we got the remainder 23. So either we could have done it using remainder theorem, or the long division, we obtain the same answer. Now, factor theorem. Now remember, fx is what? The divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. If the remainder is 0, then gx is called a factor of fx. The divisor is called a factor of fx. So, if gx is a factor of fx, then of course what will happen? The remainder will be equal to 0. That's factor theorem. Let's take an example. Show that x minus 2 is a factor of 3x cubed minus 14x squared plus 32. So, what are we going to do? Equate that to 0. X minus 2 equal to 0 implies x equal to 2. What is remainder? Remainder is fx. That is 3x cubed minus 14x squared plus 32 with x replaced by the value we obtain by equating divisor to 0. So it is 2 cubed, 2 squared, and you will realize that this is equal to 0. Hence, x minus 2 is a factor of fx. So either we can find the remainder using long division, or using remainder theorem. What is a factor? The divisor will be called a factor of the dividend fx if the remainder is 0. Let's take the following example. Here, fx is x cubed plus kx squared minus 8x minus 8. If x minus 2 is a factor of fx, find the value of k. Remember, what was the first step that we have to do? Equate the divisor to 0. So, x minus 2 equal to 0 implies x equal to 2. What is the step 2? We say that the remainder equal to fx. Here fx is x cubed plus kx squared. Now, why it will be equal to 0? Because it is a factor. So it is 0. So I'm going to replace x by 2. 2, 2, 2. This gives me 8 plus 4k minus 16 minus 8 equal to 0. So 8 minus 8 cancels. 4k is equal to 16. K is equal to 4. So that's the answer. K is equal to 4. For x minus 2 to be a factor of fx. So, my dear students, in this lesson, we have shown to you how to carry out long division. We explain remainder theorem and factor theorem, and we illustrated them using example. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Until next time, it's goodbye from us.